Hi everyone. On today's vlog, I'm going to be replanting my tropical pitcher plants, the Nepenthes Sanguinea, I think it's called, from California carnivores. This will be my first time that I will be repotting a Nepenthes. So yeah, this will be today's vlog, me replanting my Nepenthes tropical pitcher plant. So this is a Nepenthes Sanguinea. Right now I have it sitting in this oversized margarita glass that I got from Vegas like 7 years ago for a friend's Dirty 30 birthday party. As you can see, the plant has kind of grown. She's a little big for her pot. She's in this tiny little rose pot, and it's time to replant her in something a little roomier, a little bigger, and hopefully I can do that and not kill the plant. Now, Nepenthes, like most carnivorous plants, they require to grow in distilled water or reverse osmosis or rainwater. They don't want any kind of nutrients or any kind of minerals in the water, which is what I'm going to be using here. This is a distilled water that you can buy from any grocery store, but I've actually been keeping the jugs, and I've been using a water filter called Zero Water that you can get from Amazon that does a really good job with filtering water. Do not use Brita water, and don't use bottled drinking water. Bottled drinking water has salts in it and ingredients that you don't want, and the plants don't like that. Now with Nepenthes, again, like most carnivorous plants, they require their soil, not the soil, but the substrates or medium that they grow out of, to have no nutrients at all. And Nepenthes, they grow in a mixture of New Zealand sphagnum moss, perlite, pumice, and orchid bark. Orchid bark, yeah. So I bought this pre-mixture. It's about a gallon pre-mix of Nepenthes soil from the same websites that I bought my Nepenthes plants from, California carnivores. I will be linking the website down in the description box, but California carnivores is great. You can find, they have a large variety of carnivorous plants. They have Nepenthes, they have sundews, and they have the famous Venus flytraps. They have all kinds of varieties of carnivorous plants, and they also check out their YouTube channel because they give you really good instructions on how to care for these plants. Now, carnivorous plants, they're not very difficult to care for, but they do require special care that's, completely different and unique from regular house plants. Again, they require distilled water. They don't want any kind of nutrients in their soil, and they use bugs for fertilizer. So that's what we're going to be doing with this plant. We're going to be repotting this little guy. It's actually not really little. When I first bought this plant, it was tiny, and it was maybe this past December or January, and it's already August of this year, and it's grown substantially. It's gotten a lot of pictures. I'm going to be very careful with the pictures because they have bugs in there. So I don't want to spill any kind of contents. These are pretty much the plant's stomach. They have, they produce like a fluid that helps digest whatever insects falls into the pitchers. And I've actually recently fed these pitchers with a few wasps, some roly-poly bugs, and a nasty centipede that I found in the house. And I just dropped them in there, and they are digesting, the plant is digesting these bugs for food. So I'm going to be very careful not to spill the contents of the pitchers because that would be gross, and I really don't want to do that. So yeah, let's see how this goes. This will be my first time doing this. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the sphagnum moss out, and it requires you soak the sphagnum moss in distilled water for about 10 minutes or so before mixing in any more contents. So let's pour this guy out. You want to pack enough sphagnum moss in here to where it doesn't settle too much, but you also don't want to overpack the pots with too much um, sphagnum moss because, well, it needs to aerate. And Nepenthes, they require good filtration and aeration in their roots. Unlike some carnivorous plants like Venus flytraps or sundews that like to sit in water, those are bog plants. These plants don't grow in bogs. They grow in tropical climates and they like to stay moist and wet. They like humidity, but they don't like to sit in water. So you want a pot that has good drainage and filtration. So you're gonna wanna soak this up. I'm gonna let it sit for 10 minutes or so before I mix the other ingredients into the moss. And I may or may not, I don't know. I think I might pull some of the old moss away from the roots, the original moss that it was shipped in when I first got the plants. But I don't think I'll pull away too much. Another thing about Nepenthes and a lot of carnivorous plants is they have really sensitive, brittle little roots. They don't have a really good root system. Another thing is to note is when you grow Nepenthes and other carnivorous plants, because they don't like any kind of nutrients or minerals in their substrates or their grow medium, it's best to use plastic containers. Plastic containers, you can use glass. You can also use clay pots that are fully glazed, like glazed inside and out. You don't want to use clay pots where they're only glazed on the outside but not glazed on the inside. You want to avoid terracotta, and you also want to avoid using metal, any kind of metal containers, because over time, the metal will corrode and introduce minerals into the soil, and carnivorous plants, they don't like that. So it's been about 10 minutes now, and I'm going to try to get some of the other ingredients that are in here. I don't want to use up all of it because I'm only replanting one Nepenthes today. I have 4 total Nepenthes plants. So I grabbed a bunch of perlites. Let's grab some of the orchid bark and pumice. And then we're just gonna mix this up, get it well mixed and incorporated. So another thing I'm gonna do before I take my plants out of the pot is I'm gonna go around and clean up some of the dead pitchers just to make it a little nicer, make it a little easier to work with. I'm gonna take some of these little scissors. And make sure you use sterile scissors when you do this because you can contaminate a plant and make it sick. So you don't want to do that. Take some of these old little dead leaves off, clean it up a little bit. The moment of truth. I'm going to try to take this guy out. Let's put this margarita glass here and see what we have to work with. Again, I'm going to try to not spill the contents of this. I don't want any like digestive bug juice all over me. All right, so that's coming out. There we go. And yeah, this is root bounce. As you can kind of see around here, all those black little roots. This guy is in need of a repot, bad. So I'm gonna try to break some of this off. So let's see how I'm gonna do this without spilling any of the contents of the pitcher. So while I'm just gonna let it sit in the distilled water. While I do that, I'm gonna fill up the pots with the mixture that we have. Let's see. Again, this is my first time doing this, so bear with me. Squeeze some of that water out. And I think I used a little bit too much sphagnum moss because this stuff really expands. Or maybe I might need more, I'm not sure. We'll see. So we got this. Kind of want to line that up a little bit. Let's come back over here and work on this guy. Oh, this is so nerve-wracking. Just massage that root ball to get some of the old moss off. You don't want to pull too hard on the delicate roots. Now, I got a lot of the old moss off of it. It was really tangled. But as you can see, I don't know if you can, the bottom of the roots, they're very delicate. They're like hair. So, I mean, of course, when you repot and you do this kind of stuff, you are gonna lose some roots, but hopefully not too much. They have a delicate root system and you wanna keep that as intact as possible. Now let's see how am I going to wrap the new sphagnum moss up on this guy. I'm still trying to get some of the moss out, just so it doesn't rot the roots of the Nepenthes. Now this is like, these plants are really funny. They like a lot of moisture, but they're prone to root rot, which is why you don't want them to be sitting in water. But they don't like to be dried out either. So yeah, there is a balance, definitely. And then one of the videos said to put it in between the roots. Let's put this guy in. See how that looks. Okay. You guys are watching me struggle. Oof. All right. I mean, at least she's in the pot, so. You know what? I thought I used way too much sphagnum moss, but I don't think I used enough. So I'm probably gonna have to soak some more. I don't know. For you carnivorous plants experts out there, how am I doing? I think I give myself a C. A C minus. How does she look? Okay, so I'm gonna get a little more sphagnum moss just to even out the top and kind of press it down a little bit more. I think that's too much. I don't know. I thought it was too much at first, but it wasn't enough. So this has been soaking for about 10 minutes, and I'm just gonna top off the top. I don't know, I don't think I did that bad for my first time replanting Nepenthes tropical pitcher plants, but it was definitely nerve-wracking, especially for my first time. I don't know, I'm one of those people where like, I know my first time I'm gonna kind of suck at it. But also at the same time, I just want to be perfect at it. And then that's a problem because now I don't even want to try sometimes because I know I'm just going to mess it up. But that's not how you should live life, right? You shouldn't live life by fear of messing up or mistakes. So the next step to repotting is to really get this watered in to make sure there's no like um, cavities in the soil or the moss in this case, because that, from what I've seen in videos, that can really choke out the roots and it's not good for the plants. So let's see, let me hold this, and the water should be coming down. Really get this watered in. The water should be draining from this. It shouldn't be sitting in. And if it's draining, that means I did a pretty good job. Yeah, it's draining. Yeah. I hope you're happy, plants. I hope I didn't upset you too much. I mean, I kept all your food in your stomachs, so that's a good thing. So there you have it, a repotted Nepenthes Sanguinea, I think it's called. So the reason why I chose this plant, this was actually my first Nepenthes plant that I bought. I have 3 others, I have 4 total. These are probably the easiest ones to grow. When I first got this guy, she was like, it's a she. She was this tiny little plant and it came with pitcher plants, maybe this big, and now they're like growing, and this isn't even the biggest thing. These things grow pretty big. These are actually vining plants. They're vines, so they grow substantially, they grow pretty big, and these pitchers will grow larger as the plants grows. And I've only had this for about a year and it's grown a lot. Some care tips, again, always keep the moss moist, never let it dry out. Don't let it sit in water. And also, these plants are tropical plants, so they love humidity. So the best thing to do when it comes to humidity, I'll be right back, is to mist it day and night. I mist these plants morning and night before, when I wake up and before I go to bed. And it has to be, again, distilled water. These plants are indoor plants. They don't do well outside. So I live in Utah and we're really dry here. There's really no humidity here. So this would not survive very well outside. So keep this inside. Also, like most carnivorous plants, they require a lot of sunlight, like a lot. These things love sunlight. And so the best windows to put these plants in are the east or the west facing windows. If you don't have a really sunny windowsill or a sunny window in your house, just get grow lights. You can find them on Amazon. I don't know what spectrum of lights you would need. The grow lights that I use work very well. They're LED grow lights that I use in my windowsill, and I have them set on a timer. And you want to give these plants at least 4 to 6 hours of direct light, and the light has to be bright. So don't just use like a regular lamp, use a really bright LED light. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty easy to take care of. Another way to maintain this, so as this thing grows, as I said, it's a vining plant. So it's gonna keep growing. Sorry, I keep looking at my monitor to make sure I'm in frame. So when it keeps growing, it's gonna get longer and longer like a vine. So over time, I'm gonna eventually, after I repot this again in a slightly bigger pot, I'm gonna get either a stake or one of those moss poles to keep in moisture and stake the plant up so it can just grow up. I've also seen pictures of people growing these on trellises. Like they'll have them on trellises and they'll let them climb up the trellis. And another way is I've also seen pictures of people putting these in like hanging pots, like hanging baskets, and just letting the plants kind of droop down. As you can see, these are actually leaves. They're not flowers. These are a part of the leaves, and this is they catch the bugs, and that's how they get their nutrients. So they let the leaves hang down. In this case, I'm gonna use that oversized margarita glass that I've had for like ever, and I'm gonna put like one of these sauce cups at the bottom to elevate it. Don't fall over. So that's what it would look like, and just let it kind of hang down until I can figure out a more permanent thing to do. But also another way to keep it humid is you can also put this in like a dish or even something like this. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna fill the bottom up with distilled water, and you're gonna want to fill it up about maybe a half an inch. You don't want too much water, and make sure that the pots are elevated and they have really good drainage. You don't want this to be sitting in water again. Unlike sundews or Venus flytraps, these are not bog plants. So they like to stay wet, but they don't want to be waterlogged. Another really good way to keep the humidity up for a Nepenthes plant is to put it in a terrarium and put it in a terrarium. Again, make sure it's elevated above the water, and you can fill the bottom of the terrarium up with water, like half an inch of distilled water. And also keep the terrarium open so there's airflow. Always make sure that the terrarium is open, because you don't want to cook your plants. If you keep the terrarium closed, it will cook the plants. And also, with all the moisture on the leaves and everything, it can also cause root rots or even the rots of the crown. Again, like these plants are funny. They love a lot of moisture, but if you give them too much, and there's no air circulation, they can rot. So yeah, those are my care tips. Again, I got the plants and the sphagnum moss, the Nepenthes sphagnum moss from CaliforniaCarnivores.com. I'm going to put the link to their website in my description below. They have all kinds of carnivorous plants. If you're interested in plants and you're curious about carnivorous plants, I recommend going to them. They have all kinds of fly traps. They have all kinds of Nepenthes. They have butterworts. They even have orchids, and they have sarracenias. And also check out their YouTube channel, because they have really good videos on growing tips on how to care for your plants and what is required. So most carnivorous plants, they require similar things: distilled water. They don't want any nutrients in their soil or their grow mediums. But they also, each plant, each species has like a specific kind of requirement when it comes to keeping them healthy. I'm not an expert on carnivorous plants or plants in general, but I followed their instructions and I've kept them alive for a while. So, I mean, it's been a year since I got my first carnivorous plant, which was a sundew, and it was from California Carnivores. So check out their websites. This is not sponsored. They don't even know who I am. I'm just doing this because it's a vlog, and this is my interest for today. This is what I'm doing today. It is, what is it, August? I was gonna say July. It's already August. What day is it? Is it the 7th? It's the 7th already. Holy crap. But anyways, yeah, that is the vlog for today. Thank you for watching. Until the next vlog, I'll see you later.